everybody. Welcome back to another exciting edition of our video interview series. And today I'm really excited to have Pia-Maria Thoren with us. Hi, Pia.
Hi there, Noopur. How are you
I'm doing
today?
good. I'm really excited to have you today with us.
Me too. I'm quite excited as well. So happy to be here.
So, Pia, just for our viewers, I will introduce you very briefly.
Mhm.
So, Pia-Maria Thoren, she describes herself as a person in the middle of HR, IT, finance, and management. She is the author of Agile People, a radical approach for HR and managers that leads to motivated employees, and another book called Agile People Principles, Your Call to Action for the Future of Work. So we are really excited for this discussion. Let's begin with our first question, Pia. Since you talk about agile and people and HR altogether, so what is the difference for the uninitiated between agile HR and traditional HR?
Yes. So Agile HR is about using tools and methods and models and values and principles inspired from both the Agile Manifesto, from the Agile movement in IT, from the software development movement for Agile, from business agility and from people agility. So it's been inspired from different places. And when HR starts to work in a quite different way, I would say, because it's not about controlling people anymore. It's not about telling them what to do. It's not about policies and rules and processes and systems so much as it is to support the people to perform and be happy in our organizations. And this quite significantly changes HR's role for the future of work. Because traditionally, HR has been there to create those people policies and rules and practices, working mostly with compliance instead of support. So it's a quite big difference that HR needs to go through. And the Agile People is not just HR, that's why we call it Agile People. It's also leaders and management that needs to change. And all leaders actually in large organizations, not just executives or top management, but also middle management, team leaders, and the way that they lead. And since HR is many times responsible for leadership training, for organizational development, for change management, for performance management, talent acquisition, compensation and benefits, and all those HR processes that permeate the whole organization. Then they also need to support leaders change. So Agile People is both managers and HR. Because they are the influencers, we believe, in every organization, and they need to go first and show the way for everybody else how to work in a different way.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting that, Priya.
Mm.
And I'm sure most of the people would be keen to know how did this journey start for you? Why did you choose Agile People
Yeah,
or
yeah,
Agile
yeah.
HR?
Okay, so I used to work with large talent management system implementations and rollouts all over the world with large Swedish companies. And when I was doing that, we implemented very centralized and standardized, rigid processes, talent management processes around topics like performance management and recruitment and compensation and competence development and so on. And we realized that we didn't create very much value on the local level, but it was mainly about control from the central HR office. They wanted to control how do we work, how do we go about the HR processes. So people were not happy you know, in the local entities of the organizations, and we didn't create a lot of value by doing that. So gradually we started in our own little IT project that was kind of configuring and laying out the processes and configuring the IT systems that we worked with in those companies. We started to move towards working more with agile tools and methods and models, because that's what you do in IT. And we went to this master course in 2009 and radically changed the way we worked in IT. And when we worked with those process maps with HR, who were our stakeholders, we figured that, hey, these values and the principles and the tools that we are using now in IT, they can also be applied to HR and to leadership and to anything actually. But so we started to experiment with HR in the companies that we were working with. How could you turn around the way you work and more agile, with more business and people agility? Because the goal for top management has been for many years now to increase business agility, which is a result of what's happening in the world. You know, with COVID and everything happening, then organizations need to adapt quickly. And to be able to adapt quickly, you cannot control that much. You need to let go of responsibility, and you need to support the people and understand that they have the best solutions many times where they are in their everyday role. And, you know, in the place that they are working in, they know more about that place than anybody else. And the central office often doesn't have a clue about how they are working and what they need to be able to do a great job and to serve customers in the best possible way, because customer value is what we focus on in agility. It's about creating customer value, and for HR, the customers are the employees and the managers.
All right. Uh, that's a great insight to share, Pia.
Mhm.
Wonderful to know your journey. And since Agile, it started all with the software industry, right? And it then been adapted by different domains, different industries. Can you please share your views about the Agile HR in Agile transformation?
Yeah.
That is a
So
bigger picture we can look at.
it's um, it's more about what HR needs to stop to do than what HR needs to start to do. HR is holding on, as I said before, to all these heavy processes that everybody in the organization is touched by: the employee processes, the talent management processes. Um, and they have very strict policies and rules of how work should be done. And if you have that, you don't have the freedom to be creative, to innovate, to work, to create great customer value if you're too much controlled. And this is what we need to get away from. So in HR, that needs to change. Now, I forgot your question. Can you repeat again, please, the essence of your question?
Sure. So my question is more about the role Agile HR plays in Agile transformation.
Okay, yes. Okay, so in a transformation, HR needs to be on board, because if they are not, you cannot change the structures of the organization and the culture, because they hold on to these structures. And with structures, I mean IT systems and processes and policies and rules and everything that we use to control people. If we continue to do that in an agile transformation, nobody can change, because that will be an obstacle that you hit sooner or later in your agile journey. I prefer to call them agile journeys. Together with finance, they are the biggest blockers in an agile journey. So instead of hindering the transformation by by holding on to those processes and rules and policies and systems that they have been asked to set up actually by management. They need to let go of that and work in completely different ways with involving the people in the HR delivery and moving closer to IT and understanding how they can take the role of, for example, an HR person could pretty much be a very good agile coach, an agile people coach. They don't need IT skills, they need people skills, right? So business partners, HR business partners are very much like agile coaches. They are very close in their role to be an agile people coach. We call it an agile people, of course, because it's more focused on the people than it is on IT. So we see that HR can really make a difference in an agile transformation if they take a different role here. So HR business partners become agile people coaches, and like that they can support the transformation instead of hindering it.
All right. One more thing, I'm sure, Pia, you would have faced a lot of challenges while making this transition from traditional to agile practices in people practices or people functions. So, what are the challenges an organization or a team member could expect while they are doing this transition as per
Yes.
your experience?
For HR, the biggest challenge, I think, or one of them, is that they now need to involve the people of the organization when they deliver programs, when they deliver, more simple processes, when they deliver tools and other methods for the organization to be able to perform and be happy. So it's another tool set, and the biggest change I think is they are used to delivering 100% before they deliver. And in agility, in agile, we don't do that. We deliver a little bit, and then we get feedback from our customers, and then we deliver a little bit more, and we get more feedback, and we build it up like an onion. So that's a big change for HR. Also, another change is that they are not used to working in teams to that degree that they need to do when they work with agility. They are used to working alone, taking a responsibility maybe as an HR business partner. But now it's about finding collective intelligence and working together as an HR team that would deliver together. So it's not one HR person delivering specialist services anymore, but it's a whole team delivering together and sharing the same Kanban board or the same backlog, for example, and working, learning each other's different specialist areas, and then coming together and using, for example, Scrum for HR. It's perfectly good to use Scrum for HR. You can use design thinking, you can do employee experience journey mapping instead of customer experience journey mapping, etc. So there are lots of new tools that HR can use when supporting the people in the organization. I think also the other changes are that they will be visualizing a lot more as well, and they will be supporting leaders in a totally different way, creating new kinds of leadership programs, because we need agile leadership in those organizations. But in big transformations or agile journeys, the people perspective is often missing. So we need to work a lot more with the people, because otherwise it just becomes a collection of, if you just use SAFe, for example, you use a collection of steps and processes, just like in waterfall, or just like it used to be before. So you don't really reap the benefits if you don't let go of that and involve the people and understand what makes people tick. You can't change if the people don't want to change. So you need to understand what motivates them and what makes them do what they do. If you do that, then you can create those conditions in the organization system that would motivate people and engage people towards common goals and align around common purposes in a better way. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure, I'm sure. So, Pia, with your experiences now, if you look forward, what are the top three trends that you're expecting in 2023, especially when we talk about people functions?
Yeah, this is a new question. So what I see coming is Agile for finance. And of course, when we look at HR, it's connected to finance in the way that finance would you would set goals, business goals for a company, and those are broken down on different departments in the budget, in the yearly budget process. And then the managers for these different departments and teams and so on, they are supposed to reach those goals. And when they do, they then take part in a performance management process, right? So they are judged by how well they will be reaching those goals. So now we see the connection between finance and HR, or the goals of the organization and HR, performance goals. So we have budgets, fixed budgets, who are linked to performance goals that they are supposed to reach during the year. That means that you cannot change anything. And of course, agility is about changing all the time as the external environment changes. And then they get rewards tied to their performance, which is also in HR's responsibility, rewards and compensation and bonuses if they have done well and so on. And HR's role here in the past has been to defend the hierarchy in organizations and make sure that the hierarchy stays intact. But in agility, we don't have that many layers, and the most important thing is not to climb the career ladder or to get a better pay or a greater position. That is not the goal when we work with people and business agility. Instead, the goal becomes to create more customer value, and it becomes to make sure that everybody, not just high performers or managers or stars in the organization can perform, but that everybody can perform, because that's when we get to the bottom line and get much more return on our investment, when we support all the people to perform. So here you can really make a difference on the bottom line. So this link between fixed budgets, performance targets and rewards and bonuses, it needs to be broken. And then we create the conditions for a totally new way of thinking and working if we do that. And then if we turn towards more flow-based tools and methods like value stream mapping, or focusing on the outcome instead of the output, then we are also doing a huge change from the hierarchies to the more streamlined and flow-based and customer-centric, value-centric organization type.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
Thank you, Pia, for sharing. Yeah, these.
yeah.
You have
But,
some more points to add?
yeah, that was one trend, finance, Agile for finance, which is linked to HR. What else is a big trend? I think motivation is another trend that I see, the understanding motivation deeper, and what makes people tick and what makes them do what they do. I think this is also a huge trend coming, that in the past we have treated people more like building blocks or resources, or parts in a machinery, but for the future we will need to understand that everybody's different and everybody does things for different reasons and work for different reasons and are motivated and engaged by different things. So the deeper human understanding, I think that's also a huge trend, and that managers and HR need to have the knowledge about psychology, sociology, relationships, all these people-related things to a lot greater degree. They need to deep dive into how do the human brain work, neuroleadership. We talk about neuroscience for organizational change today, and that is the third trend that I want to bring up. How do we combine the intrinsic internal brain processes with the processes in the system, the social interaction with other people in the system, because the company is a social system. It's not a machine. It's really a social system, and value creation can take many different forms and paths in this complex social system. So neuroscience for organizational change, I think is a huge trend coming now, where you both look at internal human aspects and the organization's conditions and how people work together.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Maria, for sharing such wonderful insights with us in this section. And now we are moving on to the next round, which is going to be a rapid fire. So, which is the book which you want to read again and again?
Reinventing Organizations by Frederick Laloux is my favorite book still. I was introduced to it, I think it was in 2011, by Jürgen Appelow. He sent me an email. He said, "You should read this book." He said, yes. And that is one of my, because it changed my life completely when I read the book. And I understood the greater kind of the wider impact of agility and what it means. It's the book is not about agility, but it's about the stage after agile, let's say teal organizations, which then take agility even further. So it's a world without managers and without formal positions and formal management positions. And it's really interesting, I think.
That really sounds interesting, Pia. Pia, what do you do in your free time?
Yes, I just had a grandchild. So I spend a lot of time with him. He's 6 months now. My daughter, she lives in the archipelago of Stockholm, and I try to go there as often as I can, actually, because I don't want to miss my grandchild's childhood. As I worked too much when I had my own children, and I feel like now I'm getting the chance again to take back some things that I think I lost or missed during the time when I had my own children grow up, because I was working too much.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm sure you enjoy this time a lot.
Yes. And also you could say that my job is my hobby. So I'm always trying to read a lot. I'm trying to watch podcasts, or listen to podcasts and watch meetings and conferences, and listen to how organizations change and develop and learn all the time. An agile organization is a continuously learning organization, and that's really the main competitive advantage. It's the ability to learn faster than other companies. So if you can manage to do that, to always learn, always understand, what am I supposed to forget now, and what am I supposed to turn into in the future, because you're always changing yourself. And it's to be open for that and not to be afraid to understand that you change all the time. You learn new things all the time.
Absolutely. Is
Mm.
there any favorite quote of yours that you would like to share with us?
Oh, now I'm going to think about it. Um, Nothing is impossible. It just takes a little more time.
That's absolutely what happens in life. So
Yes.
thank you, Maria, for this quick answers. We would like to conclude this wonderful discussion that we had with you about agile people and transformations and what future holds for us. What is your one cent tip to anybody who wants to be future ready?
Um, don't be afraid to unlearn and relearn, and keep yourself updated with what is happening in the world at all times to be able to adapt your organization to all the changed opportunities and challenges that are out there, because it's really a brilliant time if you are not afraid to change, I think. So I think be open for new ideas, be creative, look at the positive side and think about, okay, this change happened. How can I make it into something that support me instead of something that would hurt me or weaken me? I think it's that view that we need to have now that I would say change management is really dead today. It's about changing all the time. So that's the new normal. And it's not like we manage change and then it's done. No, we have to continue all the time to go through new changes and be on the outlook of, this path moving forward into the future of work. Because, yeah, this is just the way it is.
Absolutely. It was an incredible discussion, Priya, with you, and I'm really thankful to you for being part of this discussion. And I'm sure there are a lot of key takeaways for our participants and audiences from this discussion.
I hope so. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Priya.
much for having me.